Today we're continuing our countdown of the most impressive prophecies in the Bible, and we've reached number 5 on my list, which has to do with the 70 years that the Jews spent in captivity in Babylon. Now let me ask you this. When World War I started, was there anybody that could predict accurately how long that war would last? No doubt there were people that put forth various ideas. They looked at the enemy's firepower, they looked at their own, and maybe they tried to predict and gave an opinion of how long a war might take. And the same thing for World War II, or any war for that matter. It's one thing to guess how long a war might last. It's another thing to say, we are going to be taken into captivity, and we are going to stay there for a certain number of years, and then to get that number right. How could somebody look 70 years into the future, which Jeremiah did? In Jeremiah 25, verses 11 and 12, Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 10, he says we are going to be in the land of Babylon for 70 years. And then he further predicts that at the end of those 70 years, not only will they come out of captivity, but Babylon will then be punished and destroyed by another nation. And in the book of Isaiah, that king is named. Now you say, well, that's not that impressive. Wait, that king hadn't been born yet. That king was still 150 years away from being born, and yet Isaiah got the name correct. So when we look at the prophecies that surround the Jews going into captivity, staying there for 70 years, and then coming out, Babylon being punished, how any of these prophets could get all of these details correct, to me, is incredibly impressive. Now, I want to dig a little deeper into the 70 years that the Jews spent in captivity, because I believe there's a very specific reason God chose 70 years. In the book of Leviticus, God gave a law that said every 7th year there should be no farming done. The land should rest, and they referred to it as a Sabbath year. God further warned them that if they did not observe that Sabbath year, that he would remove his people out of their land and thus allow the land to rest. So we read in Leviticus chapter 26 and verse 43, "The land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy her Sabbaths, while she lieth desolate without them. And they shall accept of the punishment of their iniquity, even because they despised my judgments, and because their soul abhorred my statutes." God told them the land must rest. Now we know as time went on, Israel did not want to be governed by the laws of God. They rejected the Lord and said, "Give us a king like all the nations." And the result of that was Saul. Now from Saul to Zedekiah, which was the last king in Judah, he was taken from Jerusalem into Babylon by Nebuchadnezzar. There's a period of 490 years. And during those 490 years, this law about the land resting was not observed. What God did is he took those 490 years and said every 7th year the land should have rested, which comes up, if you do the math, to 70 years worth of rest that was owed to the land. He removed his people and allowed the land of Israel to rest for 70 years. So not only are we looking at a fulfilled prophecy from the book of Jeremiah for the captivity being 70 years, but we're also looking at a fulfilled prophecy as it pertains to the punishment and the land resting from the book of Leviticus. This is something Moses said would happen almost 1,000 years before it took place. So everything surrounding this prophecy, to me, is incredibly impressive. How can anyone have known how long they would have been in their captor's land? How could they have known that the nation of Babylon would then be destroyed by Media-Persia, which, by the way, Daniel did predict before it happened? And then how could Isaiah have named the king of Persia who would be the one conquering Babylon? Everything surrounding this is simply impressive. When we look in Daniel chapter 9, we find him praying a prayer of repentance. And the reason he prayed this special prayer and asked God to have mercy is because he had been studying in the book of Jeremiah, and he had seen where Jeremiah said the captivity would last 70 years. Daniel, he was alive at the end of that time. So he is now praying and asking God, please fulfill this prophecy. Even though we don't deserve it, have mercy on us. When God hears this prayer, he dispatched an angel, Gabriel, to come and talk to Daniel, not only to tell him, yes, I'll have mercy and the people of Israel will come back to their land, but also to say there is a bigger plan that needs to be fulfilled. The punishment that Israel deserves, it's not finished. These 70 years is done, but in order to completely bring my people back to where they need to be, there are going to be 70 weeks worth of punishment for the nation of Israel. And that's going to be our next prophecy. We're going to look at those 70 prophetic weeks that are spoken of at the end of Daniel chapter 9. But for today, number 5 on my list, these 70 years that Jeremiah predicted, how the Jews came back out of that, how Isaiah could name the president, how Moses predicted the punishment, and how the land would rest. The whole thing is incredibly impressive.
If this video has helped, you can click the like button. If you'd like to follow along with our Bible Q&A vlog, you can click subscribe. Feel free to leave a Bible question in the comment section below or visit us on our Facebook page, Bible Baptist Church of Potchefstroom. And if you live in town, we'd like to invite you to one of our services, and we hope to see you soon. May God bless and have a great day further.